So I was chatting with my sister a month or two ago, and she mentioned offhand that she had been given a box of comics by her father-in-law that was meant to be given to me. To which I, of course, said, oh, it's a very nice gesture. I've only been in the same room as him 2, maybe 3 times in my life, but he knows I like comics, so that means a lot to me that he would think of me. And she's a few hours away from me, so I didn't make any immediate plans to go get it. You know, it was like, whenever we see each other, I'll happen to hand it off to you, no big deal. And of course, I am sickeningly familiar with all those people on Facebook who have these amazing garage sale finds or these amazing attic finds. They just find these crazy expensive and rare issues in the middle of nowhere, and they always say, don't give up, they're still out there, keep looking. And it just makes me so jealous. Like, when am I gonna find that garage sale, you know? And I didn't want to expect that kind of thing from this random box of comics, right? Because most of the time when someone tells me they have a box of comics that they've had forever and it might even be worth something, it really just means they have like a torso-sized cardboard box full of like Venom and Punisher comics from 1993. Or even worse, like 100 issues of Richie Rich, you know, stuff that I do not care about. But I was very excited immediately when I saw her this weekend and she pulled out this box of comics. This looks like it's entirely issues that he collected as a child in the early 70s, and it's the whole thing. The whole thing is 1970s stuff. There's probably like 2 short boxes worth of great 70s stuff, and most of it is in pretty good condition. Obviously, he read it when he was a kid, and the Spider-Man issues especially are pretty beat up, but I am so excited to show you these highlights because I feel like I finally had my perfect garage sale moment. There were a couple near misses, like I could tell he was collecting in the perfect area, he just didn't have the exact issue, like Amazing Spider-Man issue 120 and the Joker issue 2, but there's tons of stuff in here that's awesome, even though it's not super rare, like this sick cover of Phantom Stranger, this really weird Supergirl cover that I think is so goofy, the Partridge Family from Charlton Comics, that's wild, a good issue of the Hellfire Saga from X-Men, Freedom Fighters issue 1. Oh, this cover of Marvel double feature with the Red Skull and the Cosmic Cube. This issue is really important to me because I had the black and white Captain America Essential Volume 1 as a child, and this run of Captain America, especially this particular cover, were burned into my brain. I love this cover. We got really early Son of Satan, that's John Romita Sr. drawing that cover. Issue 1 of Logan's Run, that's funny. I know it's not their first appearance, but a really early issue of Guardians of the Galaxy, that's cool. Issue 1 of Kung Fu Fighter, that's kind of beat up. I love this cover of Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos where he's got a gun to Hitler's head. That's pretty cool. First appearance of 3D Man. Pretty sick. This cover of Journey into Mystery Volume 2 is so funny. It says, nothing can match the sheer raw power of Tim Booba. I freaking love that issue. That is so cool. This is the first issue of Jim Starlin on Warlock. We have a Bernie Wrightson Swamp Thing cover. Oh, gorgeous. Issue 1 of Iron Fist, not his first appearance, but still pretty cool. Issue 168 of the Hulk, first appearance of the Harpy, not worth a ton, but still pretty sick. This is an issue I didn't think I would ever get. It's the first quote-unquote Silver Age appearance of Groot. It's really his second appearance. He had one appearance in like the 50s, like the late 50s. But that's super cool. First issue of Spectacular Spider-Man. I love that. It's not that beat up. Very good reader copy. First appearance of Madrox the Multiple Man. Oh man, look at that spine. It is white. It is not curved. You can read it. That is sick. And this is so cool. Another issue I never really thought I would have. It's the first issue of Doctor Strange. Look at that cover. Oh, it is gorgeous. And then some of the issues I was most excited about as I was digging through the box, and of course none of this is in order, so I'm just discovering random issues as I go. But I was stoked to find these early issues of X-Men, which I know this is a reprint story, but I love that cover. Issue 84, we're getting really close to the reboot. 88, love that cover. I have always loved that Frankenstein cover of X-Men. Issue 90, how about that cover too? That is iconic. Love it. And then, y'all, I was so excited to find this issue because I was holding a copy of this the day before for $150, and I was this close to buying it because I just never see it, and it's so important to me. But man, when I pulled this out of the box, I was beyond stoked. Here we have the Death of Thunderbird in pretty good condition. This is such an important issue to me. I grew up reading Essential X-Men volumes from the old library in the town I grew up, and these issues were some of the earliest issues that I fell in love with. And it's because of that sentimental value that I was this close to buying a copy, but instead I bought something else, which I will show you later. And man, am I glad I didn't, because the next day, for free, I got the same issue. What an amazing find. And by the way, all of these issues were in like bags from 1997. I don't think any of them have been out of that box in over 20 years. They were like stuck together and the folds of them were all interwoven. They made a sound as you pulled them apart. Considering all that, this is in gorgeous condition. And then there was more. This one's a little bit more beat up, but issue 97, that's a classic as well. Issue 102, I love it when the all new, all different X-Men take on Juggernaut. Classic stories. Issue 105, very early Phoenix. Issue 100 and 101 were not in there, unfortunately, but this is still pretty sick. 107, I think that's the first issue with the Star Jammers. That's awesome. Love it. Great issue. Issue 110, how about that one? This one did not get reprinted in Classic X-Men, so that's a special find. And issue 112, that is in really good condition. There's some spine roll here, but it doesn't look very cracked. The colors are amazing. One of the greatest X-Men stories from the era. Ooh, I love it. And on top of these being some of the stories that I grew up with, they're also very specifically the issues that my father did not collect. He started collecting at issue 111. So anything before 111 is like the lost X-Men comics for me, and adding them to my collection is such a fulfilling moment. And then sprinkled throughout the box, there were a billion giant size issues. All of these are giant size, you can tell because they're white. The spine is facing you. You can read the spine. They're all in pretty good condition. We got giant size Marvel triple action, not a big deal. But how about giant size creatures? This one is sick. Issue 1 there, I love it. It's square. The spine is squared off. Giant size 2, when it just became Werewolf. That is another amazing cover. How about giant size Power Man issue 1? That is sick. What a great issue. It looks fantastic. Giant size Hulk issue 1. This one's a little bit more beat up, but still pretty cool. Giant size Daredevil number 1. Love it. And giant size Daredevil number 4 from just a year later. Ooh, giant size Defenders number 1. That is beautiful. Love that cover. It is still white. Giant size Spider-Man issue 4 with the Punisher. This was just barely a year after the Punisher's first appearance, and you can see they're still using his original drawing from issue 129 in that circle there. So cool. And then Amazing Spider-Man annual number 10 from the same era. Giant size Master of Kung Fu issue 2. This one is pretty beat up. You can tell he must have liked reading this one. And giant size Master of Kung Fu number 4 as well. Then we've got giant size Avengers issue 2. That is gorgeous. What a cool cover. And giant size Avengers 3. That's another gorgeous cover with a square spine. And giant size Avengers number 4. Key issue there. There's a little bit of water damage, but it's still a very readable copy. And then, of course, the giant size we're all looking for. It's giant size X-Men issue 2. Gotcha. But surprise, I got you again, because look at this. This was in the box. Giant size X-Men number 1 in pretty good condition with a square spine. I found this all the way at the bottom of the bin under a billion wrinkled old comics and bags. I was sitting on the floor with my sister here and my wife here, and I was just geeking out while they were patiently allowing me to geek out. And then I saw this, and I'm not kidding, my heart stopped for a second. This is the moment they talk about when they find something ridiculous for an absolutely ridiculous price. In this case, the price being $0 that I spent on giant size X-Men issue 1. No, I'm never going to sell it, and no, I'm probably not going to get it graded. As important as all the other X-Men issues that were in there are to me, this one is obviously so much more important. This is the X-Men issue for X-Men fans. I never thought I would own a copy of this. This, like, made my year. So I'm not gonna be cliche and say, they're still out there, just go find them, keep your nose to the ground and dig them up. But I am gonna say, make sure people know what you love, because it's only because he knew how much I love comic books, which I am very vocal about, that he thought about giving me his box of comics. So, to my sister's father-in-law, thank you so much. This will be treasured. It's not going anywhere. This is staying in my collection until the day I die. And of course, there was a ton of other great stuff in that box, but I can't show you all of it. I've bought a lot of comics recently. I can't wait to show them to you all. I want you to know that I've been working on the next state, and I am entering into the editing phase. So you can expect another Every Comic Shop in the State of Blank video soon. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling very thankful this Thanksgiving week, so I hope you have a great holiday season, and I will see you soon. Until next time, I'm Kurt Williams, and you are somebody else. And that's okay.